Hello and welcome. I'm Dorothy Beal, your host for today's discussion in celebration of Mother's Day. I'm honored to be speaking today with three amazing women, all of whom are mothers. First, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm a 47-time marathon finisher, a mom of three, and the head of content strategy for guided workouts at Runkeeper. Out of all the adventures I've gone on in life, motherhood has been by far the most rewarding adventure yet. With me today is Mari Tibbetts, the Director of Global Apparel Creation at ASICS, Barbara Turner, Chief Administrative Officer at ASICS North America, and Kat Ayers, Senior Director of Marketing at ASICS North America. Hello, ladies, and welcome. Thank you so much for being here today with us. I'm truly excited for this conversation.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'd love if you guys could share how many children you have and what their ages are. We can start with you, Mari.
Sure. I have two kids at home. My boy and a girl. My son is 12 years old and my daughter is 13 years old.
Oh, such great ages.
Yeah.
Barbara, what about you?
I have two children. Both are grown and not at home. One is 30, my daughter, and my son is 26. And then I have two grandchildren who are 11 months and 3 years old.
Oh, that's amazing. And what about you, Kat?
Yep, I actually have three. One is my bonus daughter, just like Giselle. I don't say stepdaughter, keep it bonus daughter, who 18 in college. And then I have the other side of the spectrum. I have a 6 and a 7-year-old, two boys. Yeah, so definitely two sides of the equation.
Love that. So I would love to know, when you guys became mothers, were you prepared for motherhood and the changes that came along with it, or was it a little bit of a shock to the system?
Oh my gosh, that's Pandora's box right there. I mean, I can tackle this one. I mean, I think I lucked out. I was very fortunate. I met someone who already had a daughter from a previous marriage. So I kind of like went right into the mix. So again, I lucked out of already having that. And then surprise, one came and then the other. So I will just tell you, that the second one was definitely a surprise on my end. He knows as well. So we keep everything nice, open conversation. You can still, be nursing and still have another one at the same time. That can happen. So for me, it was, I've definitely been blessed across the board of having different, areas of motherhood for sure.
That's amazing. And what about the other two, you two?
So I can say for me, I was married very young at the age of 19. So my first daughter came at 20 years old, which is quite young. Of course, at 20, though, you feel like you know everything in life. So I didn't think that I didn't have it under control. I thought 100% that I did, but realized very, very quickly when my daughter was born that we, as very young parents, we've been married for 30 years. Um, as young parents, we had a lot to learn, which is it's not about you anymore. Now it's about your child. So it was a great experience, though, and we've been really fortunate over the past 30 years. As I mentioned, my daughter's 30. So really exciting, but definitely not prepared, although we thought we were.
That's
Yeah,
probably something that a lot of moms feel. And what
I
about you,
agree with
Mari?
you. Yeah, I was gonna say I agree with you, Barbara, because I was not the mom that had it all. Like, I was all ready for it and figured it out. So yeah, I definitely was. A lot of years. It was a shocking process and experience.
So this is probably a tough question to answer, but off the top of your head, if somebody asked you, which I am asking you, what does being a mom mean to you? What's the first thought that would come to mind? And we can start with Mari first.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, when I became a mom, I felt like I was given a superpower.
Mhm.
Um, So first and foremost, I'm a mom of 2 kids at home, but I'm also a mom figure to young men that I support who were previously incarcerated, spent years in jail. So for me, mom means love to me, and I believe everyone deserved that.
That's a tough answer to follow up. Barbara, what does being a mom mean to you?
From my side, and this goes with my experiences, being a mom to me means being your child's biggest cheerleader. But also at the same time, their disciplinarian, their coach, their mentor, their friend, and also a safe, loving place for them to go to when they need it. Um, Being a mom is knowing when it's time to push your child, which I think we've all been there. Any moms have been there. It's like time to push, but also knowing when it's just time to listen. So it's loving someone more than you love yourself, and it's hard to explain. I recall my daughter saying, "What if I'm not a great mom?" Because I think everybody's worried about it, but as soon as you are a mom, you realize that it just comes naturally. But that's what being a mom means to me.
These answers are amazing. Kat, what about you?
Well, I'll take it down. I will definitely take it down, because I'm not going to lie. The first thought in my head was never getting sleep again. And I would say we can attest, no matter what age they are, right? Like, when you have someone in your life that you just have that love for, it doesn't matter, the age group, is that worry. I automatically, I will tell you, 3 a.m. I know when one of them wakes up. I just instinctively know. And they definitely still do, and still try to come in and whatnot. And that same, with the 18-year-old, you're just never sleep again. And it's never just, and I think Mari and Barbie both said it best, it's just not you anymore. And it's crazy no matter what, and how hard we are on ourselves, because that is very true, Barbara. So hard, I think, as moms. I think it's those at those moments you realize, like, it's never going to be just you again.
Yeah. So I'd love to know how you guys have been able to create a work-life balance, or maybe you think the idea of a work-life balance is nonsense and there's no such thing as balance. But I'd love to know how you kind of handle that, working and then also being a mother. And Barbara, I'll go to you.
So, work-life balance for me right now is a bit easier than it was 30 years ago. But I've worked and gone to school my entire career. I've never not had a full-time job. So, trying to ensure that you focus on your family as well as focus on your career is extremely important. For me, my family has always come first. And that's what we also, try to encourage our employees as well, as family first. Your work will be here. And that's what's really important especially when we talk about sound mind, sound body, which you'll hear us talk about a lot. But for me, the balance is always a struggle, and it's the little things that keep you on the high road, as I like to put it. So it's making sure that you take time to eat dinner together as a family, making sure that you start and stop your day within reason. Very challenging. It's much easier said than done. And I really look forward to hearing Kat and Mari's examples, because my timing is a little bit easier for me now than it was in the past. But now I have grandchildren, and there's different demands, because now my kids need my help with the grandchildren. So it is definitely important to balance it, but it is a challenge for sure.
Yeah, Kat, I'd love to know also, having a bonus child, how then you also manage that as well.
Yeah, so I think for us, right from the get-go, and especially, on how you're kind of adding in what we call blended families. And I think in the end of the day, when we talk work-life balance, all families are different. I was going to say, Barbara, you do an incredible amount for your grandchildren. Like, you kind of like do it all. So if I'm like writing notes, like, why. And I think, having a bonus daughter, I'll be honest, like on my end, it's also approaching things a little differently. She has a mom, and I'm always so respectful of that. And my goal is to be another person, a female in her life, from a support, network. But what I don't do is I don't try to be something that she already has and needs, right? And I think in the beginning with my husband and I, we learned very quickly that balance that you need to find, because you're dealing with different weekends and different travels. And at one point we were in 2 different states, and we were, balancing and whatnot. But I think it just really made our family unit stronger. Because as Barbara said, you find out the different ways and different families how to make it work. So it's like the calls every single night. It's really making sure that you're finding those ways to connect. At one point, she had enough Southwest miles that she could she was on the mileage club. She can fly anywhere she really wanted to. And it worked for us. And that strength is still today. And you can kind of see, crazy enough, 13 years later, my husband's actually off getting her from college. They're driving cross country, and she's here with us, for the summer. She's bringing a cat too, which, we can talk about later, but a cat's coming. Anyways, don't get me started.
So Mari, you mentioned that you are a mom-like figure to other youth in your life. So I'd love to know how you balance being a mom to your own children, being a mom to those individuals, and then also balancing your career on top of it.
Yes. I have to give a big shout out to my husband. I mean, he's a saint to not only deal with me and my own faith, but and he's the reason why I am able to work fearlessly as well. And so I think that partnership is very important to mention. But it's balance is such a key thing. I'm still working on it. I'm trying to still figure it out, because when you, not only just with your own child and with other kids that I support, the dynamics and timing and things are so different that I'm still trying to figure that out. And I think what I've learned so far is to be there, to be available for my own and others. And then also balance is so key for myself as well. So I'm still figuring it out. I'll get there someday. But work-life balance, I want to put all in both ends. So hopefully, I learned that soon, I hope.
So I'm going to follow up with the question and have you go straight back into it, Mari. So do you feel that parenting has helped you succeed in your career, or maybe that your career has helped you feel successful as a parent?
I think I definitely thrived after becoming a better designer, becoming a better creator, and becoming a better worker here at work. It just, I think it gave me confidence. I think the confidence is the biggest thing. And with that, I was able to thrive at work, thrive at home, and to be able to just come into my whole. I think it's just again, I'm going to mention this again and again. I think having that confidence to be able to do it both, and get that stability there, gave me a confidence to be able to do this thing.
Yeah. I love that. So all of us here are part of the ASICS family in some way. You guys all work for ASICS, and I work for Runkeeper, which is owned by ASICS. So as you guys know, ASICS was founded on the philosophy of a sound mind and a sound body. And I would love to know, as moms, how do you practice this in your life? Do you run? Do you meditate? Is it hiking? Maybe it's hiding in your closet for some peace and quiet for a little bit. Kat, why don't you go first and tell me how you practice a sound mind and a sound body?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, Barbara, you alluded it in the beginning. I mean, first off, so lucky and fortunate for working with a company where that's the ethos. I mean, honestly, you know, my life before this, that wasn't necessarily the conversation. And knowing that has definitely changed. So I think, you know, for me, honestly, I love hiking. I love being outside. I mean, that's my number one. You know, so all types of activities. And also I'm very lucky with, you know, a 6 and a 7-year-old. They're getting into, like, you know, baseball, they're getting football, basketball. Mm-hmm. So again, being able to just be active with them really kind of centers me. I wish and I need to start doing meditation. That is something I've wanted to do, but I will tell you, I'm not close yet.
I've met very few people that are successful at meditation, but a whole lot of people that say that meditation is on their list of things they want to do. Barbara, why don't you go next?
So yes, very similar to Kat. So I spend my time outdoor activities, walking, hiking, kayaking, anything under the sun. I live in Southern California, so we love our vitamin D here. And it's interesting because I also said that I wanted to get into meditation. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm really impatient, so that doesn't go really well with meditation. But one of the things that I learned that really, and I learned this at the beginning of COVID, so I didn't do this before COVID, but being home and being, you know, locked down per se, one of the things that I started doing was gardening. And I recognized that gardening is an individual, you know, activity. And I learned that my gardening tied to meditation, sort of, you know, thinking about nothing but what you're doing, has been extremely helpful to reduce stress. And even if it's just for a few minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just going outside and messing around in my garden, you know, looking at the insects, pulling little weeds here and there, has really, really helped. And it's something that I wouldn't have had it on my list 2 years ago, pre-COVID. But it's something that I learned that I love so much, and I really, really enjoy it.
Yeah, I love how different activities that aren't meditation can actually be very meditative. Mari.
So I do start my day with meditative yoga. I have to, because if I don't, I'm all over the place.
We're going to use you as our inspiration.
Exactly. I was thinking
others. I do it for others. I do it for my team so they can deal with my normal Mari. But I have to start with meditative yoga, and I do run. I love running, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I should say this all the time working for ASICS, but I wasn't saying this years ago, you know, and surrounding myself with epic people like you, Dorothy. And it's like I got into it during COVID, and I now can't imagine not running. So that's just a, you know, beautiful part that came post COVID, and I'm a runner now.
When people say that, it gets me all a little like misty eyed.
I was looking for the heart emoji that I could put.
Right? There's something about someone just saying with confidence that they're a runner that just gets me every time. So Mother's Day can be a hard day for some people, and I really want to acknowledge that. But I wanted to know if there was something that you learned from a mom or a mom life figure in your life that you would like to share with other moms or moms to be, or really mom figures in their life. And Barbara, I will go with you for after I tripped up.
What did I learn from my mom? My mom passed away just a few years ago. And I think, you know, now that she's gone, I learn more and more every day how she really molded my life and impacted my life. You know, I learned from her that never give up, to stay positive in all that you do, no matter what it is. And she always reminded me that I could do anything I put my mind to. I think she regretted that on multiple occasions because I usually have some pretty crazy ideas, as my teams will also know. But I always took that to heart. But most importantly, she taught me to love with all my heart. And my mom was a very caring person, so always be good to people is kind of her motto. If anyone that knew her would say, always be good to people, care about people, genuinely care about people, and don't be afraid to tell people that, even when it's uncomfortable, which sometimes we do. So I miss my mom greatly, as you can probably tell, because she was my biggest cheerleader, and you don't have that mom to call you anymore. So that's what I learned from my mom.
She sounds like an incredible woman.
She was.
Kat.
Yeah, actually, my mom is upstairs, and if I don't want her to listen in. I'm like, hey,
just say the word mom.
No, but I'm very fortunate of now. I mean, very fortunate. My mom and my husband get along very, very well, to the point that sometimes I feel like the third wheel. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, I'm in the room. So my father passed away last year, and my mom was his number one caregiver every day, and that was for a very long time. So she wasn't able actually to come out here on the East Coast. Pretty much travel was not, obviously COVID, but even before COVID. And I will tell you, Barbara, I think your mom, my mom would get along very well. Like, I'm sure all of our moms actually would get along very well, but she is a tremendous, positive person. I have never met anyone of all the things that she's dealt with on a daily basis be as positive as she is. And I think the biggest thing I've learned from her is, like, it is going to be okay. Like, in the end of the day, no matter how tough it is, no matter what is happening in your life, it's going to be fine. And it's just leading with love and leading with kindness and just being true and just enjoying the people around you is really the key pieces to it. And that for me is just because I tend to be a little bit sometimes like I need that silver light, that, silver lining. And that's definitely the biggest thing from her that I take away every day.
Love that. My mom also tells me that all the time. Everything's gonna be okay. Mari, what about you?
Yeah, I'm similar to Barbara. I lost my mother about 18 years ago, and I lost her, with car accident. So it was one day she was here with me, and then the next day she was gone. So, and then I was early in 20s, and I think that age, I mean, all ages, you need your mom next to you, and so I had to kind of figure it out. What did she teach me up till this point? And then I got to grab that and then run with it for the rest of my life. So when I think about this whole thing, she taught me love. And I think that's, at the end of the day, I think within the years that I had with her, she gave me enough love to be able to provide to others, and to be able to feel like it's okay. I'm going to be okay, with the love that she's giving me. So the biggest thing is that I think, the Mother's Day has always been tough for me, but now that I have a lot of kids under my belt, I'm like, this day is celebration now, and it's just recent that I feel this way. But it's more thankful to my mom that she taught me how to love like that.
It's now very apparent, Mari, where you get your well of love from. I'd love for you, could you just quickly share about, you mentioned that you are a mom-like figure to a lot of other youth. Could you just quickly share about that with us?
Yeah, I mean, these kids that I met in juvenile hall, they all have mothers as well, but I think just transitioning from being in the cell for so many years and being out, that's a whole nother level. And I know a lot of people have their own life and trying to, you know, gather life together. For me, it's just me being the mother figure to them and being available for them, and to be able to say, no matter what you've done, no matter where you are at, I love you. I'm here for you, and just to be the other side of the ears. And I think the most beautiful thing nowadays is on Mother Days, I would hear from their moms and get a text like, "Thank you." We exchange thank yous to one another, and that's just became like this whole bigger thing that just think it's one of the most powerful thing that female like us we can do. We can empower each other and support each other. So I think mothers, being mothers, is like, again, like superpower, right? Like we're like super being.
Superpowers for sure. I always tell people that my superpower is that I grew my own best friends. And it really does feel true.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with you, Kat. I would love if you could share any wisdom that you have learned in the course of being a mom.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's good. You're starting here, and then it's going to get a very good move. Very, very good. You know, I think we kind of talked about in the beginning, I think moms, and you're right, regardless of where you are in life, are just very hard on you know, ourselves. And sometimes, you know, I think, you know, especially in this world, you're always feeling like you're not necessarily doing good enough. I have this horrible habit of grading myself at the end of the day. And usually I'm like, okay, C, I got a C minus, C plus, but I'm like, I'm still passing. And I just think the only wisdom on my end is it's just being your authentic self, and recognizing like we're all doing the best that we can. And if you're giving that love and giving that safety, and really just like leading with kindness and teaching them to lead with kindness, because that's like our next steps, right, in life. And as we move on, and you hear like from Barbara and Mari, like you hear about like how your mom's imprinted on you, like that's all, like that's the wisdom, right, is that that's what you're doing. And then that love is just moving on and on, no matter what happens, you know, in life. So yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. At the end of the day, children don't remember anything but how much they were loved and cared for. They don't remember if you messed up their lunch or something of the sort. Barbara, what about you? What wisdom could you share that you've learned while being a mom?
So I very similar to what Kat just mentioned is don't be too hard on yourself. As a mom, we're doing the best we can, and there is no guidebook to being a mom. So experiences happen, situations come up, they're different every single day. And sometimes I also, Kat, to your point, was very hard on myself throughout the stages of my children's life for different things, whether I couldn't be at a softball game because of work or travel, or, you know, I wanted to be somewhere or do something I couldn't do. I used to be really hard. And as time has gone on, and this is also to the credit of my kids with helping me realize this, is you do the best you can do as a mom. You give it your all. We all do. But don't be so hard on yourself, because at the end of the day, what they're going to remember is how much you love them, how often you were there for them or wanted to be there for them, whether it was a text or a call or sitting in bleachers in person. But it's really about, you know, how you make someone feel as a mom. And that's what I've learned. And it's taken me 30 years to learn that. So kind of, you know, a few points that were made on this call, but don't be so hard on ourselves. Just do what we can, and we're all learning every day. Even still, for me today, I learn every day something new.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point for all women. I think all women, regardless of whether you're a mom or not, we are almost definitely too hard on ourselves. Mari, could you share some wisdom?
Sure. This is a tough one. And then you guys all nailed it. You know, I think for me, it's like, I always forget to have fun in that moment, you know, because I'm so busy thinking about like what's coming ahead. There's due dates and there's this and that. And just recently I was able to spend time with my daughter, going to New York, just me and her. And I told her after that, I was like, you healed me, because I had such a fun time. And it was like we were living in that moment, enjoying seeing together, you know, sightseeing together, and just it just really like she kind of gave me that wisdom of like just enjoy that moment, and you know, and have fun.
Yeah, it's so amazing how we're the moms, but oftentimes it's our children that teach us something about ourselves, instead of us just teaching them. Gosh, okay, so I'm gonna change gears from all this wonderful wisdom. Since you guys all work at ASICS, I would love to know if you have a favorite ASICS shoe or if there is a must-have apparel item. And Mari, you're going last. Since so, Kat, do you have a favorite shoe or apparel item?
Well, number one, anything Mari makes is like a favorite. Like her entire New Strong collection and what Mari brings to the table is amazing. And just listening, and Mari just did a whole thing from a sustainability standpoint. And you talk about power, superpower. Is also thinking when we talk sound mind, sound body, sound earth, right? Our everyday. So that's one shout out. I think it's a little tough. I just went through our go to market, which is our sales meeting, and we've been looking at spring 23. So now my mind is like, I can't wait for next year. This industry ages you. I will tell you that, because you're always a year, 2 years ahead. But right now I'd say, because it's out, new and about, the Nimbus 24. I'm not gonna lie, the Barely Rose colorway is my fave right now. So yeah.
Awesome. Barbara, what about you?
Oh, for me, so Kat took it right out of my mouth. So the Strong collection is amazing. Love it. That's definitely my favorite. From a shoe perspective, I am a Kayano girl through and through. So each time a new Kayano comes out, I'm so excited, and they are amazing. And I think for me, I've also had the opportunity to meet Kayano-san on multiple occasions, and he is truly phenomenal. And Kayano is all the way for me.
Awesome. So before Mari goes, I'm going to remind you guys that Mari is the director of global apparel creation at ASICS. So this question is probably near and dear to her heart. So Mari, you are welcome to mention more than just one thing. And if you don't mention something that you specifically worked on, I want you to toot your own horn and mention something that you have worked on that is a favorite, either because you had fun working on it or because of the way it performs. So yeah, now's your chance to toot your horn.
Oh my gosh. No, I agree with both of you, Kat and Barbara. The New Strong collection is something special for all of us, just because it's for her, and we think of her. So that's always a good one, especially this season. If you go online, it's the tennis line. So the New Strong 92 is a great one if you're a tennis player. But even if you're not a tennis player, you can just wear that to run as well. So that's that, as well as a repurposed collection. It's a sustainable line that we created out of our leftover fabric at a factory level, so it doesn't go into the landfill. So a lot of the thought and love went into that collection. So hopefully you guys can check it out. For shoes, I'm just a Nova Blast 2 girl. I just love it so much. And I tried Kayanos, and I love Mr. Kayano as well. I keep going back to Nova Blast 2. And Nova Blast 2 goes really well with New Strong collection, just FYI.
I just learned something new, because I didn't realize that Kayano was named after somebody. So yes. I love it when the names have a specific meaning. Well, ladies, I am going to end it here. Thank you so much for being here, for chatting with me, for sharing your wisdom, sharing wisdom from your mom, and just taking time out of your busy days to be here and have this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Next time we got to hear about your kids. Exactly. Best friends, 3 best friends. I would have taken notes.
My superpower.
Exactly.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye, ladies. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.